Welcome, Algebra 2. This is your Lesson 87 online lesson for slope formula. You will need to have your Packet R available. This is our second lesson of Packet R. And in your textbook, you would like to be on page 362, please. This is a review lesson. We have learned slope in our previous algebra year together, so this one shouldn't be too hard for you to go back and refresh your memory. I am on notes, lesson 87 at the top, where you're going to see a reminder of how we label x1, y1, and x2, y2 when we're looking at two individual points. And then the actual slope formula there presented on your notes. We should have that in our memory that slope is represented by a lowercase m, and that is equal to the difference of the y values over the difference of the x values. A shortcut way that you might hear of memorizing that is calling that a change in y over a change in x. In science class, we use the triangle, the delta, to represent change, so you will see that in future math courses. We're going to start right in on our practice question from page 362, and I've already written in for you what our two values are. We're going to find the slope for these two values. For those who would like a refresher of what the x1, y1 is, the first set of points we call our x and y of the 1. The second set is x and y of subset 2. Then we're going to use our formula. I'll go ahead and write it out down here. That change in y over the change in x. So we just go to the labeled points up above and we plug them in for the formula below. So our second y value is 49 minus our first y value, 96. And we put that over our x values, negative 11 minus a negative 3. And you should note we do have a sword fight going on down there. So we end up with negative 47 over negative 8. And because we have a negative on top and bottom, go ahead and cancel those. It's kind of like a sword fight up and down. So we have 47 over 8. That is our answer for that practice problem. The slope is 47 over 8. Do not be surprised if Saxon comes up with some ugly numbers like that. That can happen. If you look over then to our homework page, you'll be disappointed to find there's really only one question that's going to be from this lesson. That's number 7. So we're going to hit number 7, and then I will probably go back and do a couple other ones just to make sure we're on the right track. Number 7, finding the slope of these 2 points. And I did get those written down for you. So I'm going to start off thinking of what slope means. And you're welcome to do a shortcut formula of the delta y delta x, or you can write that out as y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So change in y means take your second y value, subtract your first y value, and then let's write that over our second x value and subtract our first x value. All right, and then you're going to do some math, subtracting, and I get a negative 61 over a negative 19. Looks like I can sword fight those. They do not reduce, though. It is going to stay ugly, 61 over 19. So that is it for number 7. I'm going to have you go ahead and scroll over to number 8, just to the side. And this is from our most recent lesson that we just learned the past week. So I want to go through this one with you to make sure, since we haven't had a lot of practice. You'll recall that when we see that big red slash through the inequality, that it's telling us it's negated. It's not less than. So we have to find the exact opposite sign. Instead of the not less than, we're going to switch the sign to a greater than and then put the equal bar because it didn't start with 1. So I'm going to rewrite this as x is greater than or equal to negative 4. Okay, and then I'm going to come over and draw my number line I notice that I am needing to go all the way to the -4. And then I'll mark where my 0 is. Just put some hash marks on there. And then the other thing I need to take note of is the word integers up here, which tells me that I am only going to use whole numbers, either positive or negative, when I go to graph it. And it is a greater than or equal to, so that does include -4. So I'm going to put dots at -4 and then on up to the positive world. When I get to the end of the number line that I drew, I make an arrow and I shade in that arrow, which indicates that this is going to continue on forever. So that's the solution for number 8. And then we are going to do one more just for practice. We're going to go down below number 8 to number 12. This is a more recent lesson as well. So let's just go ahead and practice it. First thing I notice is I have M and Y as my bases. And then I have a whole mesh of exponents I'm going to be dealing with. So I'm going to start by having all of my M base together and put the exponents in the same field by adding them together. Okay, and then I'm going to look at my Y. Up top it's a -b. And then when I look down here, I have this Y in the denominator. I'm going to move it upstairs by changing signs. It's going to become a -2 and then a +b. Okay, so now I have them organized all upstairs, the M values and the Y values. Recall that once we get them all in the same exponent, I can add any like terms. So in this M exponent, I notice that I have A and I have 2A. So I'm going to go ahead and combine those. So I'll have M raised to the 3A, and then the +2 is still there. It's separate because it's not a like term. Then I go to my Y's, and I notice that the -b and the +b are actually going to cancel out. So I have Y to the -2, and that's it. So my final solution on this problem, M raised to the 3A + 2, Y raised to the -2. That's it for our online lesson. Hope you're having a great homeschool day.